This is Michael Vanderpool in Tbilisi, Georgia. It is Sunday evening, actually you would say Sunday night here on, let me see exactly what time it is. It is actually now April the 7th, and we just got off the phone with my mother. Going to be going back to Missouri here pretty soon. Pretty excited about that. We'll be taking photos of the new improvements at Highland Home for Seniors. That's at www.tour, T-O-U-R, Highland, that's H-I-G-H-L-A-N-D.com. And very excited that some of the ideas we had discussed as family and come up with over the last few years are now fully manifested. There's brand new flooring in there. It's really fantastic. Residents are excited about it, the family's excited about it, staff likes it. They've even taken photos and posted to Facebook. I'll take photos when I get back and some video. We'll also be having a fish fry and frog legs, which in a lot of places is considered a real delicacy. And it'll be out at the farm. There's a couple of farms, as my dad's living on a farm, but my mom, who remarried, as did my father many years ago. So when I speak about my family, there's a father's side and a mother's side. And anyway, I'll be out at the Phillips farm, which I filmed and put on YouTube. The last time I was there with my mother on the Kubota utility vehicle. So that's fun. It's a fun place because we've got dogs out there. We'll be able to fish. I've got a video up there with my brother and I fishing. And it's going to be pretty exciting. We'll be doing the whole spring celebration, so to speak, and my father's finishing up some work out there that I'll probably go in and help do some things that I had planned to do last time, some tree trimming. And this is kind of important on a personal note for friends and family that are seeing this on Facebook, because you know, you already see that there's a lot of tornado type weather, a lot of high winds and stuff, so it's really good to, you know, whether you're using like Hicks tree removal or tree trimming service, or whether you're doing it yourself. I've certainly done that type of stuff, especially after some of the early bad ice storms that happened years ago. We'd go out and have to get the chainsaw and clear out a whole lot, for example, from tree limbs that had fell and were covered with ice. But now we're looking at weather that's sudden and extreme and high winds. So just as a tip, you know, I've been connected with and follow some of the most accurate predictive psychics in the world, as well as another source of the most accurate predictive information on the planet out of Switzerland. And one of the things that's been mentioned is the extremes in weather. So one way to protect and to prepare your family and your property from extremes in weather is to trim the trees. Conversely, not only maybe to remove some trees or to trim them and keep them trimmed or keep them a proper distance from your buildings, your house, your family dwelling, and your vehicles, if you depend on, you know, a transport like automobile or truck or whatever, motorcycle or whatever the case may be. The idea of planting trees in a windbreak, you know, the study of windbreaks, the appropriate types of trees to plant, how long it takes them to be mature enough to serve as a windbreak, and you know, all these things can be studied and found out about. But there's definitely wisdom in the strategy of having storm shelter, which I had told my mother about, I think as far back as 2009. I don't remember the exact year, but she built a storm shelter out there. And my father's got access to a bucket truck. We'll probably do some tree trimming when I'm back there for that. So this is, you know, this is just life in America, in the Midwest especially, but it doesn't matter where you're at on the planet. If you have a house or a family dwelling or wherever you're living and you have trees, then you should consider the science of windbreaks, planting trees or bushes or shrubs or whatever it is in a way that can serve as a windbreak. Conversely, trimming and pruning and removing trees that could in high winds, whether they're damaged, whether they are diseased, whether they are old or already dead, they can actually blow into your property. They can actually damage or kill in high winds. So those of us like me that have grew up in the Midwest, the great American Midwest, Missouri, are very aware of this type of stuff because we have tornadoes. And a lot of folks live in coastal areas, so their experience has been with hurricanes. So they already know a lot of what I'm talking about. But we're now in the time of weather extremes, so this is just something that I could pass along as I make this quick video to post up on YouTube from Tbilisi, the Republic of Georgia. And yeah, a little less than 22 miles from the ongoing Russian military occupation of the Republic of Georgia. Here in Tbilisi, the actual invasion during the August 2008 war came all the way up to just almost 22 miles from here apparently. So anyway, I'll be going home this week, back to America, and I'll be stopping over in my 26th country before I get there. And we'll be flying a new airline for the first time. I often do that. I've flown so many airlines, I forget how many airlines I've flown. I've probably traveled more than 99.9% of all the people I've ever met, although I met one person from Finland in my travel in September 3rd, 2011 to Yerevan in Armenia. A man from Finland who traveled 66 countries. And I think there was one other man, maybe two, that I've met in my expat or tourist world travel lifestyle, which I've endeavored since about April of 2004. It was my first trip. It was into Ukraine, so into Kiev, Ukraine. And since then I've been in over 25 different countries. So I think I met one man who was an Italian, and he had traveled like 117 different countries, and he told me some of the most beautiful places on earth. This Italian man who worked for NGOs, non-governmental organizations. Tanzania in Africa, which I've always dreamed myself to see, and then also Peru. Those two countries, he told me, out of the 117 that he had been in, were the most with the most beautiful, fantastic scenic views. Now, that's not an answer that I would have expected. Maybe Tanzania, because the wildlife is what interests me there. All these animals that will move, and so many animals that move, you know, like once or twice a year, that in Tanzania the ground rumbles. There's so many. And Mount Kilimanjaro, you know, I had always dreamed to see this country. In fact, I have a friend here on Facebook from Tanzania. Hello, Constantine Sheo. And this is a customer of mine from eBay. He had bought something from me on eBay. But anyway, yeah, I've got friends, either virtual or real, from around the world. And I appreciate and love all of you. Thank you for following me on Facebook and my YouTube channel and other internet presence, including eBay. But yeah, Peru, I have a friend that had visited, wanted to visit Peru, and I know there's some people out there watching this that have been in Peru, but I found it amazing that this Italian man who had been in 117 different countries, and I met him in Kiev at an English conversation speaking practice group there that my friend Alex, or Alexei, had every week, and he'd invite us expats to come over that would, you know, from, that spoke English especially, for his Ukrainian members to practice their English speaking and conversation. And we would come and we'd have a conversation for a couple hours, and there in Kiev, and that's how I met some of these other travelers from around the world. And I had met a man from Australia that had traveled quite a bit, but not as extensively as these other men. And so the man from Finland and the man from Italy were the #1 travelers, most well-traveled people I'd met. And I'd met another American there that had traveled quite a bit, quite a number of countries, but I think I have, at this point, I think I've surpassed them. If not, I would match them. But anyway, yeah, this week I'll see my 26th country, and then I'll be back in Missouri. So, looking forward to that. It's always a pleasure to be back home among family and friends and community there, generally speaking. Of course, there's always the positives and negatives to every place and culture. But there's a lot to appreciate when one comes from less developed countries back to what is, in reality, one of the greatest nations on earth, and one of the most important in terms of, historically speaking, issues of the liberty, the light of liberty and freedom and democracy. So I hope that that's something that Americans will keep and cherish and be able to maintain, because certainly one that has lived in other countries that are far less developed, especially in this area of the world I'm in right now, you'll find that the idea of maintaining democracy and true liberty is an eternal vigilance. It is a responsibility. So I can only hope that our folks back home will be awake and aware and take the positive approaches to maintaining their democracy and freedom. Because there's a lot of people in other places in the world that absolutely have little to none of that great and precious gift. And on that note, I'll wrap it up. And for friends and family watching here on Facebook, I'll see you soon. It should be sometime later this week. So, really happy and excited to hear the good news about family back home. They are doing exceptional and very successful, and I'm very happy about that. I myself had done some things here in Tbilisi. I had some very important dental work. I finished up 3 visits in over about a year and a half now. I've been following up with that, and it's German technology. Vector system dental treatment is not available in America. And I also finished up with some continuing light journalism, the journalism that, when I say light, I mean L-I-T-E. That is a historical first here in Georgia. As far as the filming I did down on the Russian occupation border in October of 2013, and then again at the Ministry of Defense when the NATO Military Committee, Press Committee events were taking place here in Georgia. Those were American firsts in Georgian history. The first time an American journalist had been in either one of those situations. So I'm kind of happy about that. That was cool. I'm glad about that, actually. In closing, that's it, friends, family. See you soon back home in Missouri. For the rest, peace. Thanks for watching, and yeah, have a good one.